Good morning, beautiful souls. This is Marie Miller with House of Kellen, also known as the Spiritual Geek. And today we're going to talk about our perceptions of our problems and how big they really are. Sometimes a problem really is that big, and sometimes we're reacting to something else. Because every once in a while something will happen, and in reality, it may not be that big of a deal, but it feels like it's a really big deal. And that is because we're pulled back in time to another time and place where our feelings were hurt in a very, very similar way. I know I told the story before about getting my website back, thehouseofkellen.com, from a company that wasn't managing it very well. And during the process, there was a button that got pushed, and it wasn't that big of a deal to resolve. I just had to write an email and explain it to WordPress, and they got it fixed really quickly. But in the meantime, before I got those responses back, I was taken back to when I was married to an IT guy, and the belief, the feeling that was coming up is like, oh my gosh, IT guys are all liars and cheats. I'm just getting cheated again. And that was the story playing out in my mind, in my heart. None of this was real, but it brought up a lot of emotion. Right? So sometimes we get triggered in these ways so we can go back and clear, because I thought I cleared everything from that relationship, right? I've put a lot of work and effort into learning how to have good relationships and clearing away my past. But sometimes we get triggered and that one little final piece came up. And so, of course, as soon as I went, oh, that's just related to him, that isn't real. That's just a perception I made about that classification of people because of that situation. And I was able to let that go. And now I'm having a lot of fun playing with my website. Right. So that's one of the reasons, one of the things that we do is we're in a situation and we get angry and we get hurt, and it reminds us of another time. So you need to pay attention to your triggers and realize, am I really mad about this thing right now? Or am I really mad about this other thing that happened before? Right. And that's a decision for you to make. Sometimes you really are mad about the thing that's right in front of you. One thing that I've noticed working with people on their relationships and working through all of my different feelings about relationships is that oftentimes couples don't fight about things that are going on now. I mean, you do fight about what happened, but the beliefs that you come into the relationship, the issues that you have, the way that you expect to be treated by your partner, those all predate the relationship. When I do work one-on-one with people, every time we're talking about a relationship, we always end up years earlier to some other little piece, some other belief that they brought into the relationship with them. Pre-theta and before all of that, I remember before we split, there was a fight that I was having with my ex-husband that really demonstrated this. He literally called me by the wrong person's name in the middle of a fight. And I'm like, oh, wait, so I'm not even existing in all the anger that you're spewing at me. This isn't even about me. And it was a really good realization to have, because this is when we were in the process of splitting up, that a lot of his anger wasn't even being directed to me. So how much of my anger was really towards him, right? So those are the things, that's going to be part of your writing assignment, is to look at what are the things that you consider to be problems right now, and does it really that issue, or does it go back earlier? And the way that you do that is you really breathe into it and you feel into, not when did something like this happen before, but how do I feel inside the situation? What's going on in my heart? And then you want to look at, when's the first time I felt that way? And that's where you want the healing to happen. And when you do that healing, your current situation is going to be so much easier to deal with, because you've taken all the drama and the stress out of it. And then the other thing that we do, it's a little bit different, but when we're trying to manifest something big, we'll often put these tiny little roadblocks in our way. And this comes from a feeling of, oh, I shouldn't have that. It's going to be too much trouble. I really don't want that. And abundance is a much more complicated issue than we're going to tackle in the next few minutes. But one of the blocks we have is that more people are actually afraid of getting what they want than they are afraid of not having it. So we're used to not having things, right? And there's all these different reasons for it. We could take days to explain, but a lot of it is because there's different responsibilities and things that come with actually getting what you want. It's not necessarily just an issue of do I deserve it or not deserve it. It can bring up issues of boundaries and all sorts of other things. So what we will do subconsciously, like we're not even aware of it, sort of like, of course I want what I want. I want it. I know I want it, right? But there's this part of our brain that thinks that we really don't want what we think we want. It will put these little things up in front of you, these little roadblocks, and they seem super huge. But you just need to recognize, is this thing only coming up to stop me, from getting what I want because I don't really want it? So those going to be trickier questions, right? I know for me, I was keeping myself small by not getting my LLC, things like that. And then when I finally got it, I'm like, that was really not that big of a deal. That's actually pretty easy paperwork to do, right? But I was keeping myself small, thinking I had to have it. And now I have it and things are super easy. But I had to push through my resistance and realize this really isn't that big of a deal. Just get it done, move on, and learn how to grow. So let's give you some beautiful downloads, and then we're going to get a super easy meditation. So do you want to know what it feels like to be able to acknowledge what's truly going on underneath all of your anger and fear? And do you want to know what it feels like to take the anger out of your problems? And do you want to know what it feels like to find solutions quickly? And do you want to know what it feels like to acknowledge your emotions and see what's beneath them? And do you want to also know that your emotions are valid? Again, if you want these downloads, just say yes. That way your conscious mind and your subconscious mind will let that sink in. So the meditation we're going to do is one that I learned in one of my yoga classes. So this is not mine. It's just something I picked up along the way. And it's super simple. So we're just going to be doing some breathing, right? And as you inhale, in your mind, you're just going to picture whatever it is that is plaguing you, whatever it is is your biggest problem right now. And then as you exhale, it's almost like you're going to see it keep getting smaller and smaller and smaller until it goes down to zero. And we're just going to do that over and over and over again. And when you feel all the energy's been taken out of one thing, then you can move on to another. And all this is doing is it's helping taking the stress and the drama and the story out of it, all the extra feelings around it. So you can focus on what the core is, right? And deal with that easily, right? Because there is an answer to everything once you remove the anger and the fear and the betrayal and all the other emotions that come with these. So to tune in, just want you to close your eyes and just take a moment to center your energy in your heart. And just pay attention to all the different sounds in your environment. And you're just going to invite those to be part of your meditation today. Also notice what you're feeling in your body. And then we're going to take 3 breaths just to tune in. And for some people, you can either breathe through your nose the whole time. Some people, when they're doing a release, they like to do the exhale with the mouth open, but either is good. So you're going to take a nice deep inhale. And as you exhale, lengthen your back, adjust your posture, maybe stretch a little bit and wiggle into place. Take another deep breath in. As you exhale, start to feel the muscles in your body relaxing. And one more deep inhale. And as you relax, just let all the muscles in your face relax, muscles in your shoulders. Make sure your butt cheeks are nice and relaxed, right? So now we're going to inhale and imagine your problem. Exhale, watch it just be as a huge dot coming down to a tiny, tiny, tiny thing. Inhale again. Envision your anger. Exhale. Watch it come down to nothing. And we're going to keep going like that. With every inhale, you visualize. You give it a color, a size, and as you exhale, you just bring it down to nothing. You can also look at it like it is the off the volume for sound, like you're just turning the dial down to 0. So just keep breathing in and breathing out at your own pace. Acknowledging your emotions, acknowledging everything, and just letting everything go down to 0. All right, and then you're just gonna keep going for a few more breaths. And then you're gonna just take a nice inhale, bring yourself into a place of peace and connection. Connect to Source, express gratitude. And then when you're ready, just exhale and open your eyes, and that'll bring you back into the now. And so what you want to do with this is once you've released the trauma and the stress, then it should free you up to move forward. And for those of you who want to do the optional homework, your journaling cues for today are, what do I feel are my problems? Like making a list of what you feel is like something you need to deal with, right? That you may feel stuck. And then you want to ask yourself, is it really this particular issue? Is this really where I'm stuck, or does it go earlier? And remember, you do that by focusing on not, is this the first time I had this situation, but focusing on, how do I feel when I tried to move past this, right? And going back and then releasing the energy around the origin of that. And then if it's things that are around your, creating your business, growing, things like that, then you may want to explore, why would I stop myself from getting this? What am I afraid of if all my dreams really were to come true? And this can take a little bit of soul searching. It's not a question people really like to answer, because we're like, of course, everything would be magical if I got everything I wanted. But the truth is, the universe is so generous with what they give, right? That they're, oftentimes the block to us getting what we want is really inside of ourselves. So we're the one pushing away the universal abundance, right? And we don't like to always face that. So you do need to be really patient with yourself and breathe into what could go wrong, right? Would I feel like I wouldn't have enough time for myself? Am I afraid someone's going to ask me for money all the time and have to tell them no? Or do I feel like I'd just be overwhelmed taking care of all of that? So whatever answer is true for you, just acknowledge that, and that'll make it a little bit easier to take that next step towards really manifesting what you want in this life. All right, beautiful souls, that is day 9. We'll be back tomorrow. Have a beautiful day.